what could we do? And as you all know, right, the skin movement was kind of intriguing to us, and so we went down that road. And that was its purpose. But then at the same time, we thought, well, I'm going to pick on the guys in the room for just a minute. Most guys don't treat their skin, right? They'll cleanse their skin, but they're not going to treat it. And even to that end, if you look at the women, while more women treat their skin, you can hit more women, or the population as a whole, if you put it in the cleansing step. Because almost everyone universally cleanses their skin once, hopefully twice a day. So putting it in the cleansing step was a strategic decision. Again, treatment first, cleansing second. And that's why when you look up here, skin renewal is the first. Deep cleansing is the second, because that's really the way that it was created. We really shouldn't think of LumiSpa as a cleansing device. It does a great job at it, don't get me wrong, but it is a treatment device first that also does an amazing job at cleaning the skin. So skin renewal, what do we mean by this, right? So skin renewal is a lot to do with cell turnover, right? So we all know that our skin sheds on a regular basis, right? That's kind of why there's so much dust in our houses and we have to dust it. A lot of that is skin cells, okay? And so our skin is constantly sloughing off, but as we get older, our skin sloughs off more slowly. And those skin cells, or those keratinocytes, hold on longer. And because they hold on longer, they make our skin look rough, they make our skin look sallow. If you can expedite that to that youthful 28 days or so, your skin gets that radiance and that glow back. It makes it so that it's super smooth. And again, then we've also found that when you do that, you can increase the skin volume and the density of it. There's this feedback loop, and it makes your skin just look more energized and more vibrant. And so that's what one of the primary things we wanted to focus on. And then deep cleansing was second, okay? But we also found that it does an amazing job of cleaning, right? Like I'm a little bit gross, and I'll admit to that. I love looking at my LumiSpa and seeing gunk inside it, right? Because then it means like I'm really clean. And in fact, so I mountain bike, and so I go out and I was down in St. George where it usually is really warm, but it snowed on Monday and I'm a little bitter, but I'm getting over it. But I like to, when I go on those trips, I won't take my LumiSpa, because it's like little weekend trips. I won't take it, because then I get to come back and like really see like all the gunk come out of it. Like that's this little game that I play with myself, because I love that feedback that it provides me, because it really does do such a phenomenal job cleaning. And we've also found, because of its unique movement, that micropulse oscillation, that it has the ability to pump the pores, right? So you're not just cleaning the surface of the skin, but you're actually getting the gunk out of the pores at the same time. So it's really that deeper cleanse. So let's talk about the development for just a little bit. So I'm not going to get into the skin movement aspect of it, because I kind of assume that you're pretty well versed with that. But we had to take that technology and find something consumer friendly, right? Because we know that moving the skin has these great benefits. Well, how are we going to do it? And we're going to make it so that we've got a pleasing device, right? And so we looked at what was available on the market, and not just in the skincare field, but I mean, you will notice that there's like rotary sanders and different things up there, because we looked at everything that fits in your hand that creates movement on a surface. And then we looked at some things that are a little bit more skincare specific, and we tried to identify, how can we narrow this down? There's so much out there. How do we find what's going to be the best option for us? And we explored all these different movements, because we knew we needed to move the skin. We didn't know necessarily how to move the skin, just that we wanted to do it. And we looked at these linear options, okay? Lots of different linear movements we could have utilized for that. Some of which were more painful than others, having been part of this. This one right here, not pleasant. You can see how that might pinch the skin a little bit. It did. So we obviously didn't go with that one. We looked at rotary, just turning the skin. There's a lot of devices out there on the market that just turn, but that didn't provide the type of movement that was needed. We looked at different orbits, like things moving around other things, and that really didn't work either. Oscillation seemed like that was kind of the good point to be, and not just one oscillating back and forth, but a dual oscillation of that two-sense motion. And so then we built all these prototypes, and we had these big machines that had a bunch of different heads on them, and you can see we also looked at many different surfaces, okay, and this is where we get into the gentle and the normal firm. We looked at a lot of different surfaces, some of which were more gentle, some of them were a little bit more aggressive, some of them were a little bit more down the road. And we also knew at this point in time that we wanted to have an array of them. We knew that some people could really handle a robust action, a robust feeling on the skin, while there are other people on the other end of the spectrum who had to have a much milder experience in order for them to have a pleasing experience. And then there's people who are like, I'm kind of in the middle, right? So we looked at all these different options, and this is just one set. We made alterations to some of these to get to where we are today. And so we ended up with 3. Obviously, the normal, right? That's the one that was kind of down the road. And then we launched the firm, and then we launched the gentle. But I'm going to tell you a secret about the gentle, okay? And I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyways, okay? Because I think it shows the time and the care and the concern that we had over this. So ideally, we would have launched all of these at one point in time, right? We would have launched them all. We would have like, look at this great combination we have. The normal and the firm were doing really, really well. They went to production. Everything was fine. The gentle went to production, and we had some problems. The production did not go well. All right? It had like this little crease on the edge of the and it hurt. It wasn't as comfortable as we needed it to be. So we worked with the manufacturer a little bit, and we got another round, and it was a little bit better, but this is kind of funny. It stuck to the skin. Some people were using it, and they took it off, and it stuck to their face for just a moment, and it came off. Which, again, we can all laugh about now, ha ha ha, because we fixed it, right? At the time, not funny. So then we're like, well, what if we put little cuts in each of these? So then they can stay soft, we can make them, like maybe that will work, right? And we did a lot of testing, we're like, yeah, we referred to that as petals. That was our internal working name. We're like, we'll go with petals. Petals seems to be working really, really well. We go to production again, they can't get petals out of the mold. It got stuck in there, right? And we're just like, oh, what do we do? So again, we had to go back to our drawing board. We're like, okay, so, we went back to all of our different designs. We were making alterations to designs. We were cutting the mushroom, making them into petals and what have you. And finally, we were able, with the manufacturer, to get the gentle as we know it today to work, which we were very, very pleased about. We were really excited. And here's why we were excited about it. So this is from some of our clinical testing. I wanted to share with you that in clinical testing, big numbers aren't always good. Okay? So I want to explain this to you really quickly. So a colorimeter is a device that looks at the color changes in the skin. So you can take your colorimeter at baseline and then after usage, right, and throughout the study. And this, the reading we have here is for redness. And this is on individuals with sensitive skin. So stop and think about it for a moment. Do you want red skin, especially if you've got sensitive skin? Probably not. So when we looked at this, we were really, really impressed that we didn't get any statistical differences. The differences here are not statistical, meaning, okay, just really quick stats lesson, because why not, right? That sounds like fun. Statistical significance means that it is not due to chance. It is due to something that you did. These numbers are not statistically significant, which means what? We don't know what to attribute it to. It might have a little bit to do with the device, but it could have been the weather that day. It could have been a host of other things. So when you look at this 3% increase in redness, that's nothing to us. The 5% increase in redness. So you find that throughout this study, redness on sensitive skin individuals who use the Gentle Head and the sensitive skin activating cleanser, their skin did not become more red throughout this study. That is pretty impressive, right? Those are low numbers that we want to talk about, all right? Similarly, we found that corneometer readings, which has to do with hydration in the skin, didn't go down, right? That they stayed, especially the first couple of weeks, they stayed pretty stagnant. That's good, right? Because we're talking about a cleansing system, right? A system that has a cleanser with some surfactants and things like that. You don't want your dryness to go down. You want it to stay pretty flat. And the fact that it starts to go up just a little bit, well, that, again, kudos to us. Not really statistically significant, but at least we're trending in the right area. We're not trending down. So again, the fact that, and don't misinterpret me, because I know we've got other data that says that it's hydrating. Okay, this is instrumentation. Okay, so that's very specific. Because this very likely could have gone down, which would have been a detriment, which would have meant that we were drying out the skin. And so we know that we're not drying out the skin with the system at the same time, which is a big concern for individuals who have sensitive skin, because a lot of sensitive skin has to do with a compromised moisture barrier. If you have a compromised moisture barrier, then you have a tendency to feel more itching, more stinging, more of those uncomfortable types of sensations associated with it. So then let's move on to activating cleansers. Okay, we had 5 different options available, and they're all were created primarily to cushion. Okay, cushioning is their primary, because again, what was the primary purpose of LumiSpa? Treatment, right? And you need to have that cushion, that interaction, in order to get that right movement or that right massaging action of the skin. If you don't have that right cushion, if you don't get it just right, then you either get